welcome to the Interlude with Drew.
What's up, everybody? This is Andrew McCain. Welcome to another episode of the Interlude with Drew. Today, I got a very special guest. I got a legend on the line with me, the legendary super producer, vocalist, artist, keyboard player, all of the above, drummer, the Doobie Powell. What's up, my bro? How's everything going, man?
Man, I'm chilling, man. I'm glad to be here with you.
Man, it's a privilege. It's a privilege, man. Thank you so much for doing this. So I've been starting off these interviews by asking this question: how was 2020 for you personally and professionally?
Oh man, 2020 was a doozy, boy. Um, Lost a lot of people that meant a lot to me. But on the other side, I didn't have the same horror stories as a lot of other people.
Yeah,
It wasn't easy. It was definitely a struggle, but you know, God kept me, man, and I made it through
yes, sir.
on both ends of it. So um, I don't have a lot, to complain about. God did His thing in my life in that area. So I'm I'm cool.
Yes, sir. Man, glad you made it through, man. God is good. So
Yes.
I know, on a typical year, you're always working on music anyway, but with the lockdown and the quarantine, I'm sure you were most likely working on more music than usual. Was that the case for you?
Yeah, I was definitely working on a lot of different things. I did a lot of features for other people and um, working on a few other projects, and along with always working on my music. Um, you know, God opened the door for some other work, so I was happy about that because it wasn't. You know, I'm usually on the road, and that wasn't happening. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm glad he he opened up the other side for me to be able to still do what I love.
Yeah, that's great, man. So prior to the pandemic, early 2020, you were a part of the Nord booth at NAM. Can you talk about that experience and being able to perform your own music and be sponsored by a great brand and everything like that? How was that experience for you?
It was a great experience. I was just honored to be a part because there was so many other cats that's way better than me that was a part. And they had me there. I was cool, man. I was just happy to be in the mix. It was very, it was a cool experience because of, like you said, I was able to uh, do my music and just kind of just be me
Yeah,
on that stage. And I think that's the thing I love about being with Nord. They accept me for who I am,
yep, yep,
uh, and they're not looking for me to be something other than that. They cool with what I do.
yeah.
So, so it was a good experience.
Yeah, that definitely speaks volumes because I like the fact that they're giving a platform to church musicians and not asking them to dumb down what they do or like, don't say Jesus too much or something like that. Like they literally
Hmm.
let you guys do what you do and provide the platform for it. So well deserved. And I was so happy to see that, man, for real.
Yeah, yeah, and they're very cool people too. So
Yeah,
that helps.
that's great. So, all right, so let's go all the way back to the beginning. So let's talk about your start in music. So you started off coming from a very musical family. Your dad plays music. So how did you personally get into music? Where was your start?
Well, we didn't really. I ain't gonna say we didn't have a choice, but it was just, it was predestined, man. Like, from birth, we we was in music. My dad was doing, he was on the road a lot and playing, and even before he came back to the church, he grew up in church, and then he, like some people, he strayed away, and then he started doing other stuff, and then he came back. Um, then I was, my brothers came. I was kind of in the mix of, in the beginning of his, before Christ and then back into Christ.
Oh, okay.
Billy, my other brothers, they didn't experience that. they
Okay. Hey, I didn't realize that.
they only experienced the, in church dad. But
Yeah.
I was able to see him in both arenas. And but one thing he did that I like to tell everybody, and they're amazed when I say this in other interviews and stuff. When we were babies, my dad did what he called the headphone treatment,
Mm-hmm.
and he would put us to sleep at night with headphones, and he would just be playing nothing but, all of the greats in music, and that's how we went to sleep as babies,
Yeah.
all the way, until we were able to kind of, fend for ourselves. We went to sleep like that, so we just, that was always in us. We, hearing, and it wasn't just gospel music. It was all, everything. You know, George Duke, who was one of my heroes musically.
Yeah.
George Duke, Herbie, Chick. I mean, everybody you could think of. We was listening to it as babies, just going to sleep at night. So that definitely opened up my mind, my musicality, to be able to express music in a different way, from an early age. So I was drumming. I was drumming since I was, like 2, 3 years old, playing
Oh, wow.
drums, and and my dad's drummer. I really don't know what happened, why he left, or if he left, or what happened. I don't know what happened, but all I know is when he left, my dad made me his drummer.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
kind of how I like started playing professionally at like 8, 9 years old.
Wow.
Playing with him going on the road with my pops, and it just kept going. As I got older, I was playing more and more, and then started playing with other people in the industry, and so on and so on. So that's pretty much how I got my start, into the music thing.
Yeah, yeah, that's incredible. So I know probably in 2021 it's not as much of a known fact, but for those of you that are watching, Doobie Powell is originally a drummer and known as, like, he wasn't just, a couple gigs here and there. Like, he was one of the best drummers in gospel music. And we'll talk a little more later about, some projects he played on, but for you, Doobie, how do you feel that you starting off on drums helped you as a keys player? Like, did any techniques that you learned being a drummer help you as a keys player?
Definitely, because you got to have rhythm even with playing keys. You
For
you
sure.
know, rhythm is important no matter what instrument you play. Rhythm is if not uh, the top among the top of things you need to perfect having rhythm. Because you can be really good at what you do, but your lack of rhythm kind of diminishes you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you're not able to quantize yourself. So yeah, drumming definitely helped me, um, even in my keyboard playing. Um, because drummers don't get all of the praise, but if you ain't got drums, what you're doing is going to really lack, because the drums, it sets the precedent for everything,
For sure.
And it helped me, playing with a keyboard player like my dad helped me be more what's the word I want to say? It helped me be more mindful of the whole picture.
Right.
And I think that's what a lot of drummers don't focus on. They don't focus on the whole picture.
Mm-hmm.
When you're playing with other people, you got to focus on the whole situation. And it helped me be able to understand my place.
Right.
And so drums is very important to me. I'm very meticulous about drummers. That's why a lot of drummers are not really able to play with me, because I'm hard on drummers, because I'm a drummer.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's drums is definitely very important.
Yeah, absolutely. So you started off, like I said, as a drummer, which a lot of keyboard players actually do. How did you transition to becoming a piano player? Because I know your dad was a piano player from the time you were born, but you starting off on drums, how did you transition to being a piano player?
Well, just like growing up in church, most drummers, like you said, always end up dabbling with keys.
Yeah.
And I I was always playing around on keys, and I asked the Lord one day. I was like, Lord, please, I just wanted to be able to play enough to be able to produce, because that was my main thing. I wanted to be a producer. I wanted to make music.
Okay.
I wanted to produce the music. I didn't really think it as far as actually being a keyboard player.
Yeah.
My first mind and my prayer to God was, I just, let me be able to play enough to track
Right.
and work in the studio. That's what I wanted to do. And he's far exceeded that. But I think, and what really helped me in that area was, I must have been about 16 years old, maybe. Yeah, I was about 16 years old. And this little boy, he was like 2.5, going on 3 years old, little boy by the name of Corey Henry, came to my church with his mother and blew me away. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Wow.
I mean, he couldn't even sit on the organ seat. And he was like holding down the whole service and backing up the preacher. And I was on the drums just looking like, this is not really happening. Like, I've never seen nothing like this.
Yeah.
And playing shout music. I mean, we was churching. I'm churching with this little boy. I'm like, yo, I said, if he could do it, I know I could do it.
Oh man.
And that he inspired me. He don't even like me telling this story. but he inspired me so much that I really started taking keys serious.
Wow.
And then my uncle, our late uncle Ivan Powell, John Key hired him and moved him to Charlotte.
Yeah.
And and he was the organist at the church, so it was just me and him. So when he moved away, my dad, even though he played, he wasn't playing because he was pastor.
Right.
So he would play, but then he would get up and do his thing as the pastor. And one Sunday night, they started shouting, and I was on the drums playing, just playing shout music. Wasn't nobody on the organ. but I was still playing shout music. And he came over to the drums and said, get up, go get on the organ.
Oh, wow.
I'm not ready for this because and he was like, just go get on the organ. So I just started playing the shout bass line. Do, 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 do. That's all I knew. I didn't know no chords or nothing,
Yeah.
and, but that's what started me off from playing in church from that Sunday night. And I was like, well, I guess I got to really work at this now that I done been thrust over into the organ.
Wow.
So, I just started working at it, and I just found the love for it, and you know, just kept at it until I was able to really actually sound like something.
Wow. Okay. So you actually, I mean, officially started on the organ then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I think probably a lot of people, like me at first haven't really heard you on the organ, but there's this one particular, I think it was like a Sunday night or something that you went somewhere with my brother Jeremy. And I remember he went live. You was killing the organ. I was like, what? Because like I've heard you like pad and stuff on the organ, but like you were actually soloing. Y'all was in New York or something like that. At
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yep. At Bishop Nathaniel Townsley's
Right, right,
church.
right. Yeah, I was trying to remember the name. Yeah, Nathaniel Townsley's church. You was on the organ just doing your thing. So it's interesting to hear that you officially started on the organ, and then of course transition to keys and stuff like that.
Yeah, organ. I love the organ. I just didn't like playing
I hear you. I hear you.
it.
I hear you.
It's a
I'm
lot
kind
of
of
work.
similar. I'm kind of similar in that way too.
It's a lot of work. I
It is.
I was like, I'm gonna play keys,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I got into keys. But I like keys because it allows. I'm freer.
Right, right.
Uh, I mean, I could play the organ, but I'm not. It's not a. It's not something. I leave that to the baby brother.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
he got that sold up. We don't.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
need. I don't need to play the organ.
Yeah. So, all right. So I know as a young, I believe teenager, you were producing for your dad. Was that pretty much how you got your start in producing, just by kind of like being thrown into the water? Because I know you said you prayed for the gift to play just enough to produce. So was that your start
Mm-hmm.
in producing?
Well, I won't say that was my start, but that was my first uh, actual national project that I was actually a producer on.
Okay. Okay.
But I was always in the studio working and producing and doing local stuff. But
Hmm.
that was my first national thing, like that went all over the world and got nominated for Stellas, and so that was like major for me.
Yeah. 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 So I still, as a drummer, you had already started recording like live records and studio records. So what was your first official record that you played on as a drummer?
Man, you're like the first person to ever ask me that.
Oh wow.
Let me see. First record I ever played on. Man, it was some local stuff. It never really like went big like that. I did
Okay.
some local recordings. Um, I did my dad's record. I played drums on his records.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and that was like you said my first records.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Those was like my first records I played on. I was like playing. I played. I traveled like with other people, but those was my first records
Okay.
that I played on.
Okay. So I know that you played on a timeless classic album around 1998, which was Everlasting Life. What was that
Mhm.
experience like?
Oh, that was crazy, man. I don't. None of us knew that record was going to be
What it was?
uh, Yeah, well, we knew it was going to be dope, but we didn't know it was going to like pretty much be change the game like it did
Right.
uh, musically. But yeah, that record, man, it was fun to make. Um, Fun fact of that record, we weren't, even though it sounds like it, but none of us recorded together. It was all like done at separate times. Like
Wow, that's crazy.
I was playing to a skeleton a lot of the times. Like I was the first guy to be thrown in the fire.
Oh, okay. First, all right.
You know, so and then they would bring other cats out after I would leave. They would bring Joel or
Mm-hmm.
they would bring Johnny or like we none of us ever we that whole record none of us actually cut at the same time.
Wow, that's amazing. I know they do that nowadays, but like at that time, I feel like it was kind of like the staple for everybody to be in the same building at the same time. So that's kind of revolutionary in itself, just doing it
Right.
separate times and stuff like that.
Only thing was they still had to fly us there. It wasn't no
Yeah, you just can't do it at
send
your
me the
house.
track.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So I think I don't know the exact year, but around that time you were also playing for John P. Key, and I believe you played drums on a Twinkie Clark record. So, what were those experiences like?
Yeah, I was traveling with John for a little bit. Um, and I played on one of the VIP records.
Hmm.
Um, I was kind of the drummer in between his two major drummers.
Yeah,
Like when Liddell Abrams left, then that's when I came on.
yeah.
And after me is when he got Calvin.
Hmm.
So I was like I was just in there chilling until
Yeah.
we really found. But it was still a good experience.
Yeah.
Um, and like the Twinkie record, we cut that later on. Like I think I want to say like 2004,
Oh, okay. Okay.
2005,
Okay.
maybe 2004, 2005. I'm not for sure, but I know it was around that time.
Yeah.
And but yeah, that experience was cool because I really cherished that experience because I was able to actually spend time with two of my favorite musicians in the whole wide world, which is Johnny DeVos and Joel Smith.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I mean, I've known them for years prior to that, but
Yeah.
like even when we cut, like I said, when we cut Everlasting Life,
Yeah.
we weren't together.
Right.
And even some other records we cut, like we did the Tommy's record, Milton Brunson and Thompson
Thompson
Community.
Community. Yeah.
We did like their last record together.
Oh, wow. I didn't know
We
that.
weren't even in the room for that. Like, but when we cut Twinkies live in Detroit, we was together because it was live. So we was together like a whole week
Mm-hmm.
rehearsing and eating together and staying in the same hotel, riding back and forth together. So just spending time with people like Joel Smith was one of my heroes. I used to look at his records, listen to everything he did when I was growing up.
Yeah, with the
You know,
Hawkins and stuff. Yeah.
oh yes.
Yeah.
So just to be hanging with him and cutting a record and he sit next to me,
Wow.
you know, that meant the world to me, man.
Yeah.
So um that experience was one of my favorite experiences cutting just because of who I was with. And Eddie Brown was on that record and
Oh, wow.
yeah. it was a good experience.
Yeah, and that I'm sure that must have been great because I know a lot. I mean, I didn't find out unfortunately until after he passed, but like almost every drummer around that time looked up to Joel Smith as a drummer, and he was also a legendary bass player. So like to be able to play drums for like one of your drum heroes, I'm sure that must have been like just great.
Yeah, yeah, yep. It was, you know, I played with a lot of bass players, but it was just something about playing with him because he understood because he was a drummer.
Yeah,
It was just you didn't have to. The communication was perfect, because you didn't have to really say much because he understood.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that was a major experience in my life.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. And yeah, and that album sounds great too. So I went a little further than I wanted to for the next question, but so if that was 2004, around 2002, your first solo album as an artist, I believe, The Offspring came out, right? Was that
Hmm.
the first one?
Well, the Offspring came out actually in 2001.
2001. Okay, okay,
Yep, I re-released with this company. I don't even want to say their name because it was a horrible experience.
oh,
But I re-released that record with another company around 2002.
okay. So that's where I got it from.
But the actual my first record was in 2001.
Okay. So a lot of times when artists put out their first record, it's kind of like a compilation of years prior, like songs coming together that you had for years, and then you kind of put it all together on your first album. Was that your experience, or was it just like a particular season you were like, all right, it's time, let me start writing and working on my own project?
Man, I'm gonna be honest, man. I had been working on that record prior to uh before I got married to my first wife.
Uh-huh.
I had been working on, just working on music and working on stuff, and it was never really coming together.
Okay.
And then she passed away, and that was the music is what kind of helped me get through that period in my time. It helped me. It didn't help me forget. I
Yeah.
could never forget, but it kind of, it just that was what really helped me focus, and it's like stuff just kept coming, and it was kind of like a healing to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why that first record will always be, to me, my best record,
Okay.
because of what I went through to make it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay, so you have been working on this stuff and then it finally pretty much came together in 2001. So
Hmm.
did you around that time start figuring like, okay, I've done a lot as a musician, but now it's my time to like really focus in on what, God has for me to do, or were you still kind of open to helping people out here and there?
Yeah, I was open to working with other people, depending on what it was. You
Hmm.
know, because I had made up in my mind early, like in my late teens, early 20s, that you know I didn't want to be the guy in the back.
Yeah.
Like I was looking at people like John P. Key, who I admired, and Fred Hammond,
Yeah.
and other people who I was like, man, and I'm chilling and working with these people, and I'm like, I want to be that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not a hype thing. I just knew what was in me. Like
Right.
I'm, this I ain't supposed to just be back here. Like I want to be, I got music that's in me that I want to give to the world. So
Exactly.
I knew that at an early age, at early in my career, where it take people years to even get up the mindset to even want to think on that level.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I knew, you know, what I wanted way back.
Yep. So you as an artist have an absolutely unique sound. Like I literally can't compare you or your music to anyone in particular. But I know a lot of times the sound that comes from a particular individual is pretty much like a combination of their influences. So who were your real influences? I know earlier you mentioned George Duke, and I've heard you talk about
Oh,
him before. Who
George.
who were like some of your other influences?
George Duke is definitely at the top of that list with my pop. My dad is number one because he's the one that, cultivated me and molded me musically. Um, and he put all the stuff in me. So it's my dad, George Duke. Um, uh, Chucky Booker is another one. Um, I mean, there's so many, man, that, you know, that influenced me musically, but um, George Duke is definitely like one of the main ones that influenced me the most. Uh, uh, yeah, it's a lot of others. Um, Definitely E.L. DeBarge is one. Um, oof, Thomas Whitfield.
Okay. Yep.
Um, Andre Crouch.
Mm-hmm.
I I definitely looked at people who were different. That's
Right.
what that's what that's what really intrigued me.
Uh-huh.
Anybody that was doing something similar to somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't something that connected with me.
Right, right.
You know,
So yeah, do you feel like your dad kind of gave you that confidence that even though my sound doesn't sound like anybody else, I'm sticking to my sound no matter what because this is what God gave me?
yes, because he was different.
Yeah, yeah.
He's different in his musical approach to gospel was like nobody else's.
Mm-hmm.
It was so unique, you know, and it sucks sometimes because that's why you really got to have tough skin and really got to believe in yourself because everybody doesn't embrace uniqueness. Everybody doesn't embrace originality
That's true.
when it's not something that they can actually look at this one and look at that one and see similarities and say, oh, okay, that's
Yeah,
like that. It
yeah.
when they can't do that, then they don't embrace it.
That's true.
And when you're not, when you're unique and original, you don't get on all of the popularity that everybody else gets. So,
Yeah.
you know, you're deemed, in my case, underground. I was an underground artist for so many years, and
Mm-hmm.
then I was, independent, and you get looked at as not as on the same level as everybody else because they don't get
Right, right, right.
it, or it ain't what radio want to play, or
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff to me that don't matter. If music is good, it should be accepted.
It should. Yeah. Yeah, so you kind of have I don't know if I want to call it a struggle, but that's kind of what happens with your music because is so unique and in some ways complex, but at the same time, like the average listener can still enjoy it. So it's in some ways it's underappreciated by, I would say, maybe the typical public, but then at the same time, musicians like swear by Doobie Powell's music. So how do you deal with that, knowing that you have like a musician community that now you're even seeing duplicates almost of yourself and people that come out with the same or a similar style to what you have, but at the same time it's not, fully accepted by the general public? Do you just kind of see that as, well, that's the lane that I'm in, or is it something that's kind of, bothers you at times or used to bother you?
Oh, it still bothers me, but it bothers me, but I don't let it consume me.
Yeah.
Because if it consumes me, then it'll take me out of my creativity and out of who I am. And then it would allow me to be, to just do what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's what a lot of people do. You'd be surprised of the people who are who who are unique and original in their approach to whatever it is that they do. But
Yeah.
because they don't see no success in their uniqueness,
Hmm.
they just they go with what works, with what
Right.
they feel works. And CCM works for whoever wants to let it work for them. So that's what everybody do now. They do, the whole CCM thing, which to me, that's a whole nother conversation. But, you know, to me, that's not even our music. But,
Yeah.
that's what people, they do that now because that's the thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not hating on nobody that do that. I'm just saying, you know, all of a sudden CCM is the thing. That wasn't the thing some years ago.
Yeah. It wasn't. Yeah.
But because it's the thing now, that's what everybody doing. It's just like, wow, like nobody don't we can only see God this way.
Hmm. Yeah.
That kind of, that's kind of where I'm at. I just feel like, you know, we serve too big of a God
Yeah.
to only have to do the same thing to show our appreciation to him.
Right. Right. That's so true. Too big of a God and too creative of a God for everybody to do the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So in around the 90s and early 2000s, I feel like it was more acceptable to be your own, like have your own sound, because even though gospel had a sound, there was so many different people that had their own unique take on it. Like you mentioned earlier, Fred Hammond and John P. Key. They came up around the same time, but they sound like totally different. The Clark sisters and everybody pretty much had their own sound. What do you think change that kind of made it where it's a little more, of the same thing for the most part in order for people to be successful? What do you think changed?
Well, one thing that changed is we don't have the things that we used to have back then. Like for one, we we ain't got that many record labels,
That's true.
and we ain't got really no labels that's willing to, dump no money into an artist and make them what what they can be.
Hmm.
You know, everybody's in this microwave mindset. They want you to just have everything already. They want to just they want you to walk in a star, basically.
Yeah.
They don't want to have to spend no money on artist development and creating you to be something. They don't want to do that no more. They just want you to do all the work and then come to them and they'll slap their name on it and take 20, 30, 40%.
Wow. Wow.
You know,
That's a very interesting take. Now I'm thinking about it.
I mean, but that's what it is. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. And nobody's really worried about the perception no more. They want it quick, fast, in a hurry. And then you got the labels that's facilitating gospel artists who don't even really understand and have an appreciation or understanding for gospel music. It's just a business like any other genre.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
no, you know, they don't even understand. All they know is this type of music, these type of songs is making money. So we just want songs like that,
Yeah.
and that's where we are now.
Uh,
We don't got nobody really about the craft, about the artistry no more. It's just about, you know, pick go to Psalms and get some words that we can repeat 1,000 times
mm,
and and know the number system.
yeah, yeah,
That's where we are now. It's you got people running around saying I'm a praise and worship artist. Like
yeah,
what?
yeah.
But hey, whatever floats anybody's boat. That's not what God put in me.
Right, right, right.
Now, if I was seeking stardom and trying to, you know, be something, other than really being, doing my artistry, that stuff would be easy to do. I could do that in my sleep.
Right, right, right.
That ain't nothing,
Yeah,
but is that gonna make me happy? You know, I don't know. I don't
yeah.
think so.
Right, right, right. Yeah,
But
so
God bless anybody else that's doing it. It's
yeah,
just my opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion.
absolutely. Yeah, so being that, it's not all like that, but a good portion of the music that we hear is kind of like in that type of CCM feel. Your music is really a breath of fresh air because, like, I know for me personally, if I try to play along to any given Doobie Powell song, it's going to be a challenge, and I appreciate that about your music. That even if sometimes you're listening to it and it doesn't sound that complex, but when you try to play it, you're like, oh, wait a minute, like, and that's very inspiring because you're always setting the bar higher and higher. Like, how do you, well, where do you feel like you get your inspiration? Like, do you usually set out and like kind of play some chord progressions and put music to it, or do you usually typically have an idea for a song and then kind of put the music together after?
Man, it can happen anyway, any kind of way. I'm more so just um I get in the studio and pretty much how I'm feeling, that's what'll come out,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And sometimes God will give me he'll give me the whole song, everything in my head, words, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go and just start putting the ideas down. Sometimes he'll give me words before he even give me the music, and then I'll just see what the words is, how the words are making me feel, and that's how music will come. Or sometimes I'll just create a track and it'll inspire me to to write something to it. I'm not one of those writers who they got the gift of gab. They can just throw words together
Yeah.
without even trying. Like
Uh-huh.
it got to actually come to me.
Right, right, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I say the same for myself. So I know it's kind of like picking your favorite child, but do you have any maybe one, two, three songs out of the hundreds of thousands that you've written over time that are like really special to you or one of your favorites?
Yeah, um, definitely. There's a song called "Rain" on my "Time Is Now" record.
Okay. Yep.
That's that's one of my favorite songs. And then, man, uh, "All Right" is another one of my favorites.
Oh yeah.
And whew, man, I would say I would say I'm blessed.
Oh yeah. It's funny. I didn't even realize at first that you had already recorded that before. But yeah,
Oh
it
yeah,
yeah
yeah,
yeah. It's
yeah. I
that's my
recorded
song.
that. Yep, I recorded that on my for Zoe record.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's
Yep.
like it's like a totally different feel the way how you did it on the most recent project, the Finding Myself Again, and then you did another remix that you've been doing recently. Like I think you might have first done it around the time that you did the Nord booth and stuff. So it's like you just keep coming
Hmm.
with different grooves and ideas for it, and it's just a great song in general.
Oh yeah, we used D'Angelo's
Yeah,
chicken
D'Angelo
grease.
Blue. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
incredible.
just trying to have little fun with it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. So you in January, like in the first, I believe, you put out the All Things New concert, which was a great concert. And now you're about to release is it a single or an album called All Things New?
It's a well, it started out as an EP, but I don't know, it might not be classified as an EP because I got
Okay.
more than like 5 songs on it because
Okay.
the songs just kept coming.
Okay.
Once I get in that mode of creating, uh, I like to create a a picture of when I get a title,
Yeah.
like I need everything to go along with that title.
Right.
Um, so once I started creating, and stuff just kept coming, and
Yeah.
so it's a little bit more than a EP, but you know it's all good. I decided last year. I said, you know, every chance I get, I'm not waiting for when industry say I should put music out.
Yeah.
I'm not waiting no more. I'm not deciding. I'm not waiting to first and third quarter and all of that.
Yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
nah, man. Like, you you can lose out. God forbid something was to happen, and all those ideas that's in my head chilling,
Yeah.
waiting until a certain time
Yeah.
will never see the light of day.
Yeah.
You know, and I just decided like, hey, until I ain't here no more, I'm gonna just be putting music out every chance I get.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna get sick of me, and I don't care.
Nah, nope. See, we the people or the fans, we are so glad with that executive decision because man, like you put out so much music, but it almost feels like it's not enough. Like I know I'm ready, so can't wait to hear that. So we talked before about like being original, having your own sound, and doing what God has put on the inside of you. A lot of young musicians may struggle with that. Young artists may struggle with that. What would be your advice to young musicians? Because we're living in a different time. I think part of the reason why a lot of people end up sounding the same is because the world has kind of gotten a little smaller with the social media age. So people from different
Mhm.
regions can adapt a sound from a place they've never even been to, and of course YouTube makes the process of learning a lot different, a lot easier. So what would be your advice to the younger musicians as like an OG in the game and everything like that?
Man, I would just say, man, just work hard at perfecting your originality. Like, it's cool to pull from other people and other things, but if you don't turn it into you, if it don't become you, then it's kind of, you just kind of, I won't say wasting your time, but you're not really growing from just trying to be what someone else is.
Yeah.
Like, really work hard at your craft to create you.
Hmm.
It's okay to pull from others, but you got to really take the time and see not only what they did to become them, but utilize what they did to become them, and make it work for you.
Right.
turn it to into your originality.
Mm-hmm.
Just work hard at it, man, and don't settle. Don't settle for what comes easy.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to just say, "Oh, I could do that,"
Yeah.
you know, and then later on down the line, you'd be mad at yourself because you hear different, but you can't produce different.
Wow. Okay.
You know, versus just working hard at that from the beginning.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and then that way you'll appreciate what you have more than you appreciate it more.
Mm-hmm.
And just don't don't get discouraged with it not coming as fast as you wanted, or because that's another thing I know a lot of musicians and people do, singers
Definitely.
do. They because it ain't coming fast enough, so they think, oh, this ain't for me.
Right. 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 Yeah.
If you can quit that easy, then it wasn't for you.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely encouraging because I feel like some people it happens quicker than others, but at some point I feel almost everybody kind of struggles with why is it taking so long. So
Hmm.
that's really solid advice that if you could quit that easy, then maybe it's not really for you to be doing that. That's great. So being a producer, I know a lot of times you'll play on the records, and there's also times where I'm sure that you can call people in, kind of like how ASAP Ward does. If you were producing like a big record, a gospel record, and you're the producer, and you were just calling people, who would be your dream band to call?
Man, Joe Smith would have been on that list. I'm definitely calling Johnny DeBose, even
Yeah,
though he don't come out the house no more.
yeah, yeah,
I would have to do some heavy persuading,
yeah,
but he would definitely be on that list. Um, I'm definitely gonna have my baby brother on organ because he provides a little bit of me, even though Kevin is a million times better than me on 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 keys.
uh,
He still got some of me in him.
yeah,
So
yeah, for sure, for sure.
I would I always have Kevin play on stuff because he still gives me a bit of me in there.
Yeah, yeah,
So he would definitely be one that would be on that list. Uh, and I would probably have um, I would definitely have my brother play something.
yeah,
Billy.
yeah,
I
yeah,
would
yeah.
definitely have Billy play something, and I would also have uh, I would also have man. I would also have Robert Spud Seawright
Oh wow.
on
Yeah.
drums,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I would probably call my bro Mike B.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, that's a hard one
Yeah, it's so many.
because Eddie Brown would definitely be one that I would call too.
Yeah, yeah. Man. I pray that scenario comes to pass because my goodness, that band is crazy right there. But man, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you got a lot going on. So I truly appreciate you taking this time. So many words of wisdom, so much can be learned just based off of your experience all the years that you've been in music and everything like that. And I'm the type of person that likes to give people their flowers while they can still smell them. I didn't grow up on Doobie Powell's music like a lot of other people did. I was a little late to the game, But ever since I started, when I hear somebody that I appreciate, I dive in and listen to all that I can. And it really speaks volumes to me that somebody like you can have so much music and it's a unique sound, but it don't sound the same. And that's something that's truly special. You're a legend in my book and so many other people's book. And I'm so glad that you are determined to continue to push out music because you have so much more to do. And man, I just pray that God continues to use you in mighty ways, expand your borders, and continue to bless people. Because the thing about your music is that it may not always get everybody's ear here in the United States, but there's young children and geniuses all over the world that'll be playing your music strictly. So you've inspired a whole generation, and we just thank God for you, man.
Wow, man, that really means a lot, man. I appreciate it. Every chance I get to, somebody, want to hear from me, man, it means a lot because, you know, they don't have to. So I thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely, man. So once again, this has been the Interlude with Drew. As I always say at the end, only what you do for Christ will last. Take it one day, one step at a time, and keep it pushing. God bless you guys. Until next time.
It's the Interlude with Drew. It's the Interlude with Drew.
Welcome to the Interlude with Drew.